A senior royal once made a remark that seemed casual, but sent chills through the palace. "You're not the queen. You're just the queen's husband." Short and sharp like a blade, the comment revealed an undercurrent quietly rippling through the halls of Buckingham Palace. Not long after another shocking event shook the monarchy, Prince William made a move so unexpected it brought King Charles and Queen Camilla to tears. No one saw it coming, a moment that sent tremors through the heart of the British monarchy. What drove the heir to the throne to make such a bold choice? And how could a single act be powerful enough to shake the very foundation of royal authority? If you find this story intriguing, drop a comment with the number 1, if not comment 0. Don't forget to share this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Now let's dive into the story. It all began on what seemed like a perfectly ordinary morning in London. The weather was pleasant, the sunlight gentle, and the gates of Buckingham Palace swung open to welcome distinguished guests from across the Commonwealth. The air was filled with the scent of white roses, and the setting was as radiant and flawless as any royal occasion before. The palace, majestic and dignified, stood ready for another grand day, with flags fluttering and photographers eagerly preparing to capture historic moments. Guests chatted softly among themselves, all eagerly anticipating the usual grace and elegance displayed by the royal family. Yet inside those gilded halls and polished marble floors, something felt off. It wasn't the decor. It wasn't the guest list. It was the air itself, tense, unusually quiet, carrying the unmistakable weight of change. Palace staff moved briskly, their eyes subtly tracking one person, Prince William. He had arrived with an unusual request, one that wasn't on the schedule, one no one had anticipated, and one whose consequences no one could yet imagine. William didn't want to speak with his father, King Charles, or with Queen Camilla. He asked only to speak alone. According to aides, William insisted it would be just a few words, nothing formal. But anyone familiar with royal protocol knows in a high-level royal ceremony there's no such thing as just a few words. Every speech is meticulously vetted. Any break from script carries weight and deep meaning. William's request to stand alone unscripted was a powerful symbolic act, one without precedent. As Prince William stepped toward the throne, the entire hall fell into absolute silence. Palace staff, usually masters at masking emotion behind composed expressions, could no longer hide their unease. William appeared calm, but it was exactly that calmness that made people anxious. In his eyes, resolve. His posture, tone, presence, it all echoed someone unforgettable, Princess Diana. A woman who once stood before the monarchy with a heart full of truth, strength, and fearless honesty. In that moment, it felt as though William had inherited not just her legacy, but her independent spirit, the very essence of the mother he deeply admired. And then he began to speak. There was no excitement or anger. His voice was gentle, calm, yet every word carried a special weight, like a soft storm, quietly sweeping through every corner of the room. He started by recalling the long history of the crown, its traditions, honor, and the responsibilities tied to it. The stories of glorious past were told as a reminder to everyone of the profound meaning behind this symbol. However, shortly after, his tone shifted to a new, far more important topic: change. But this was not some distant, abstract change in the future. It was a concrete, practical transformation that could be felt and seen right now. He affirmed that the crown cannot stand above the people. It must walk with them, stand beside them, not just in ceremonies, but in every meaningful action and decision. Next, he made a surprising announcement that brought a solemn atmosphere to the room like never before. Prince William revealed a new plan for the royal family, emphasizing greater cooperation and shared responsibility among its members. He announced that Princess Anne and Prince Edward, along with his wife Catherine, would take on more duties, becoming more deeply involved in leadership and representation. The traditional system, which had concentrated power in one person, was gradually shifting toward a more collective, flexible, and modern model. But this change was not limited to just redistributing power. William also officially stepped into a new role with the support and approval of King Charles. He would begin taking on more significant public duties. While not formally titled as a regent, his role would essentially carry the functions and authority of one. He would represent the crown in important meetings with international leaders, visit communities across the kingdom, and make decisions in the public eye. He was no longer just a prince in title. He was transforming into a true leader with clear power and responsibility. The change unfolded in a quiet atmosphere, but hit like a major shock that demanded everyone's attention. Some in the room were puzzled by the sudden announcement, while others felt a sense of relief that necessary reforms had finally begun. Yet most were undeniably surprised by the unexpected declaration, especially since it was made on a significant day and in a completely unannounced manner. In the end, the room fell into an eerie silence. What stood out most of all was that not a single mention of Camilla was made throughout the entire event. That spoke volumes without a single word. Camilla was clearly excluded from the new plan and this shifting role. Whether it was her own decision or William's, the message lingered like a silent shadow hanging heavy in the air. After the speech, instead of applause, the audience chose silence, quietly absorbing the profound message. Long-standing customs and traditions are being questioned not through protests or loud rebellions, but by a prince with a confident and decisive attitude asserting his authority within the very palace where he was born. The media has dubbed this a bold, silent act with profound historical significance. Yet inside the gilded walls of the palace, it is seen merely as a slow, necessary transition. The royal family, known for its meticulous caution in decision-making, is like a massive ship slowly changing course on the deep sea, every move carefully weighed. Prince William's action today marks the first step in a long journey to transform the workings of this ancient institution, carrying new hopes for greater closeness, transparency, and connection with the people. However, in his speech, Prince William pushed things in a new direction, not abandoning tradition, but embracing a more flexible version that allows outside influences to impact the monarchy. Perhaps this is the path to preserving the institution's existence, not by standing above, but by moving closer to the people. The clear absence of Camilla in the speech added a tense undercurrent to the atmosphere. At first, the royal hall was filled with excitement and a palpable sense of change spreading throughout. Prince William shared an ambitious vision for a new era, a modern monarchy capable of adapting and thriving in a turbulent world. His speech was full of confidence with a clear focus and ideas aimed at fostering deeper connections with the public. But for many observers, the most striking detail was the silence surrounding one key figure, Camilla. Camilla, who has stood by King Charles for many years, always appearing at public events and formal ceremonies as a supportive partner by the king's side, was noticeably absent from William's vision for the future. She seemed overlooked and ignored. At first, Camilla sat upright, appearing attentive and composed, but as time passed, signs of restlessness became clear on her face. She clenched the program tightly on her lap. Her eyes darted around quickly, her breathing grew shallow, and her complexion turned pale. Without a word, she suddenly collapsed forward and fell silently. Medical staff quickly rushed in. King Charles stood up, his voice trembling as he called out Camilla's name in worry. Everyone in the room was stunned. Cameras continued to capture every tense moment. Though there was no physical chaos, the atmosphere became suffocating, filled with panic. The future queen had to be urgently escorted out on this momentous day, an event originally planned as a solemn and symbolic ceremony for the monarchy.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
Phones kept ringing non-stop, and the press corps grew increasingly tense. What was supposed to be a peaceful and momentous day suddenly spiraled into uncontrollable chaos. In a private room, royal advisors were engaged in heated discussions, debating endlessly. Everyone was puzzled, unable to understand why Camilla had been excluded from the future that Prince William had just outlined. King Charles, already frail, looked shocked and somewhat stunned by these unexpected developments. However, within the royal circle, many harbored suspicions. Rumors began to spread rapidly. Some believed Charles had been warned about his son's intentions, but perhaps never thought William would actually carry out the plan. Yet the truth unfolded exactly as it had. Now the royal family faces not only pressure from public opinion, but also deep internal conflicts to resolve. Did William intentionally exclude Camilla? Was it an accidental mistake or a deliberate decision? Some close to the royal circle believe it was a smart, strategic move meant to send a clear message. However, many others see it as a cold, disrespectful, even ruthless act. What everyone agrees on is that this event has created a massive impact. Camilla was not only absent from the important speech, but was also almost completely pushed out of the future William envisions. The immediate consequence is evident in the cracks appearing on the once flawless facade of the palace. This is not just a matter of public image, but a sign of deep divisions within the royal family itself. On one side are those loyal to King Charles and Camilla, and on the other supporters of William and his new vision. The factions remain undefined, but the gap between them is growing increasingly clear. Amid all this turmoil stands a woman who once held a significant place in the royal family, now seemingly losing her influence and importance. Camilla's collapse was not seen by those close to her as merely a medical emergency. They believed the cause ran deeper than just stress. It was a profound inner pain. Hearing the speech and realizing she no longer belonged in the future that William was shaping caused her silent, unbearable anguish, though it went unspoken. This emotional pain didn't always manifest loudly or dramatically. Sometimes it lived quietly in the shadows of still, somber moments. Camilla's sudden collapse and the silence that followed vividly reflected the deep inner turmoil she was experiencing. Meanwhile, Prince William remained completely calm, showing no sign of hesitation or doubt. He continued to pursue his plan with unwavering determination, as if everything were unfolding normally, demonstrating remarkable inner strength and adaptability. Though there is still hope for the future of the monarchy, many unanswered questions hang heavily in the air. Everyone wonders about the depth of division within the royal family, the next steps to be taken, and whether the Queen will choose to step down voluntarily or be forced from the throne. The palace may remain silent, offering no explanation, but the image of Camilla leaving the event has been etched deeply in many minds. Most striking of all is the driving force behind William's boldness. What are his true intentions? Prince William did not make this decision impulsively or emotionally. It is the result of a long, quiet, meticulous, and patient process of reflection. There are signs of profound change happening behind the scenes, guided by the most important influence in his life, Princess Diana, even though she is no longer present. Diana had a tremendous impact on William's life, shaping his behavior, communication style, and the values he upholds. She instilled in him compassion, empathy, and the importance of seeing each person beyond their royal title. Those lessons have always remained in William's mind, shaping every decision he makes. As the monarchy faces significant changes, it's clear that William is striving to honor Diana's legacy by bringing those values back to the heart of the kingdom. He has spent years observing and realizing that tradition sometimes overshadows clarity and reason. He has witnessed many opportunities missed due to rigidity in ceremony and recognized the growing gap between the royal family and the people they serve. When his father, King Charles, faced health issues, William understood the importance of time and saw this as a chance to make a difference. Not content with merely moving forward, William strives to make real progress. He refuses to be trapped in a system just because it has always been that way. William desires genuine change, a monarchy that truly reflects the modern world rather than outdated values. Achieving this requires bold and decisive decisions. One such choice is stripping power from those he believes no longer align with his vision, including Queen Camilla. This decision may seem shocking and harsh to many, but for William, it is necessary to protect the reputation and future of the crown. Camilla has shared that her journey to acceptance within the royal family was a long and challenging one. It took her over 20 years to gain official recognition. When she married Charles, she was not warmly welcomed. In fact, many opposed her presence in the royal family. Despite that, Camilla remained persistent and continually proved herself. Over time, public opinion began to shift and people started to warm up to her. She gradually secured her place within the royal family. When Charles ascended the throne, Camilla stood by his side as queen consort, feeling as though she had conquered what once seemed impossible. However, everything changed dramatically when William excluded her from his vision for the future of the monarchy. It felt as if all her persistent efforts and years of building her position suddenly vanished into thin air. It wasn't just a feeling of abandonment, but also a sense of disdain, even from the very family she had been loyal to all along. All her hard work seemed erased in one silent, painful moment. Even behind the palace walls, the impact of the event was profound. When Camilla collapsed after William's speech, many assumed it was simply due to stress and pressure. But those familiar with the royal family believed it was a much deeper pain. She had spent countless years trying to find her place within the monarchy, enduring rumors, harsh criticism, and relentless comparisons with other members. And just when she thought she had finally succeeded, she was coldly pushed aside. This happened quietly, but it marked her complete removal from her role and position within the family. However, not everyone in the public agrees with this decision. Some believe Camilla should have been sidelined much earlier, citing unresolved issues from the past. Others feel sympathy for her, believing she doesn't deserve to be pushed to the sidelines after so many years of effort and contribution. No matter what the public opinion is, one thing is clear: she is no longer considered in any future plans. This raises a bigger question. If Camilla is no longer in focus, what does that mean for King Charles? Is he still holding the reins of the monarchy, or has someone else taken his place? Charles has always yearned to uphold the monarchy he waited so long to lead. When he finally ascended the throne, he had his own vision for its future. However, health issues have created instability in his leadership. Meanwhile, William's increasingly prominent role has sparked speculation about who truly holds the reins of power. It feels like William is quietly but decisively carrying out significant changes that cannot be ignored. William envisions a monarchy that is more closely connected to the people, one that listens and operates with greater transparency in all its actions. He wants to build a monarchy that fits the modern era, not just one that preserves the past. However, this path is not easy, as it comes with many challenges and risks. Drawing inspiration from his mother's principles, William may unintentionally overlook the wishes and expectations of his father. This could create a monarchy that looks modern but feels alienating to some parts of society. It's hard to strike a balance between honoring tradition and embracing the progress of the times. And in the middle of it all is a family with a full range of experiences, love-loss, conflict, and efforts to heal. It's a family that not only maintains titles and rituals, but also carries deep emotional wounds. The changes underway come with serious consequences, and the big question is, who will bear the burden of those consequences? Change in the royal family doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, the price paid is often heavier than the crown on the head. As a king without absolute command, King Charles has lived a tightly controlled life since childhood. From a young age, he was taught how to dress, how to speak, and how to find his place in society. His life revolved more around fulfilling duties than making an impression or creating major change. He wasn't taught to shock the world, but to protect it. He was expected to be a symbol of stability. He followed all the rules, walked the royal path, and ultimately ascended to the throne that was destined for him. However, now that he has achieved everything that was assured to him, something feels off. A significant change is underway, and it seems no one, not even the king himself, can fully hold the reins anymore. The royal family, once running smoothly without any issues, is no longer the same. Recently, issues have arisen, and tensions have become increasingly apparent. King Charles is at the center of it all, trying to maintain control of his throne as his power begins to wane. When Prince William started speaking, there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. His words carried weight even though he didn't raise his voice or resort to theatrics. Every word he spoke was like a gentle yet powerful call for change. While the king remains the official leader, it's clear that William has emerged as the true leader in the room. He doesn't seek attention but confidently accepts it, and no one tries to stop him. Advisors inside the palace began whispering among themselves. Some believe Charles approved of the speech, while others say he was surprised by it. These conflicting opinions only add to the confusion. People wonder why the king didn't speak up if he was truly in control, or what that means for the monarchy if he isn't. The stability once felt now seems fragile, and then everything begins to crumble. Queen Camilla's collapse isn't just a health concern, it represents something much bigger. Throughout her time with Charles, she remained steadfast and composed, despite facing the world's judgment. She endured years of intense media scrutiny and criticism. However, on that day, something inside her shattered. The silence that filled the room when she collapsed forward was deafening. That moment wasn't just a quiet pause, it symbolized the accumulated tension within her. It reflected the deep wounds she carried amid the changes in the royal family. She had once been an important part of the family, but now it seemed she was gradually being pushed to the sidelines. The changes William is leading are not just about power or roles, but also about values and vision. William envisions a modern monarchy that is more connected to the public and more open to the world today. However, this also means altering the old power structures and abandoning some long-standing traditions. This has led to clear divisions within the royal family and among public opinion. Many support innovation and adapting to the times, while others mourn the loss of traditional values and worry about losing their identity. Amid it all, Camilla seems to be the one suffering the most. While medical experts attribute Camilla's collapse to stress, those within the palace understand a deeper truth. It's not simply a temporary pressure or physical exhaustion, it's a broken heart, a massive burden built up over many years combined with suppressed emotions that erupted in a brief moment. Camilla is not just the wife of a queen, she also represents a traditional royal system, an outdated system that has lasted for a long time, but is gradually becoming incompatible with the future. Her collapse was like the final chapter in a royal history story. It happened suddenly, without any official acknowledgement or ceremony, just a raw, immediate reaction. Almost instantly, videos of the incident spread rapidly across social media. Hashtags about the event became trending topics, drawing widespread public attention. People didn't just witness the fall of a powerful woman. They saw the fading symbol of a monarchy gradually losing its place in the hearts of the people. Public reactions were mixed. Some felt sadness and regret over this collapse, while many others saw it as a sign that change is inevitable and necessary. The monarchy is no longer just a traditional custom, but has become a deeply divisive issue. Many are questioning whether Prince William's calm and cautious ascent is the answer for the future. Inside the palace, things began to grow much colder. Camilla's schedule suddenly disappeared entirely. Events she once attended were quietly canceled with no explanations or public announcements. A silence settled over everything. No more forced smiles or sympathetic glances. Camilla, once a prominent and vocal royal figure, became invisible within just a few days. The staff who once supported and protected her gradually began to distance themselves. However, this was not personal cruelty, but a calculated move. It seemed the palace was quietly turning a new page, a different future. But no one officially spoke out or explained it to the public. The transfer of power happened silently and discreetly, yet there was no denying it was causing profound upheaval. However, as one person steps back, another moves forward. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, doesn't need an official speech or to forcefully put herself in the spotlight. Her mere presence is enough to create a sense of calm and stability for those around her. While many other royal members appear worried and unsettled, Catherine remains remarkably composed and confident. All eyes are on her not because she seeks attention, but because she has become the symbol of the future that many hope for the monarchy. She embodies modernity, stability, and a confident demeanor completely contrasting the chaos and collapse around her. It is precisely this that changes many people's perspectives on the palace and the support for King Charles. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep exploring, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on other exciting videos. Now let's continue the story together. Gradually, doubts began to arise about King Charles's ability to maintain his power, not because he was failing or weak, but simply because he ascended the throne too late at a time when social changes and generational shifts were happening rapidly. This delay created a wide gap between him and the public's expectations, causing real power to gradually shift to the next generation. And now, just as Prince William feels comfortable in his new position, calls for even deeper changes begin to emerge. For King Charles, this is not merely about losing an authoritative role within the royal family. It is also the loss of control over the very family he has always tried to protect. Witnessing Camilla's breakdown was not only a difficult moment for the public, but also felt like a deeply personal loss for him. William's bold move to take the lead without facing any resistance within the palace is not just a calculated strategic step. It is also a moment filled with sorrow and deep reflection. Charles always hoped his son would eventually take the throne, but he never imagined it would happen so quickly. While he still feels somewhat new in his own role, the inner chambers of power in the palace are now filled with uncertainty and division rather than the unity they once had. Some royal family members and advisors believe that Charles should assert his authority by demonstrating clearer strength. On the other hand, many think it's better to let the transition happen smoothly, gently, and without upheaval. However, the truth lies somewhere between these two extremes. The monarchy is not collapsing, but it is undergoing a quiet evolution. There are no scandals or open power struggles, only subtle changes unfolding behind the scenes. Important decisions are made behind closed doors, with no official announcements or press releases. The transfer of power takes place slowly and subtly, yet inevitably. Still, King Charles remains the official monarch, wearing the crown of authority, but now he must navigate a palace where his voice is no longer the only sound that echoes. Whispers and covert influences are growing stronger, sometimes even outweighing his commands. The future of the monarchy is not greeted with excitement or grand declarations, but through steady and irreversible progress. The transition to a new generation of monarchs has become inevitable. The focus now is on how and when this change will be completed. In this period of instability and transition where tradition clashes with progress, the monarchy is shaped not by official announcements, but by symbolic events. For example, the sudden collapse of Camilla Williams' calm yet decisive leadership and the striking presence of Catherine, Princess of Wales. Charles, torn between his duty to preserve tradition and the need to adapt to the new era, stands on the sidelines observing everything unfold. He realizes that even a powerful king cannot fully control this process of change. The question arises, what happens when a king finally ascends the throne, but the kingdom he rules no longer awaits him? In 2025, a surprising moment changed many people's perception of the British monarchy. The event took place during a royal ceremony at Buckingham Palace, which was expected to be grand and peaceful. However, Queen Camilla, who usually appeared calm and confident, suddenly fainted in front of a large audience and television cameras. Social media immediately exploded without waiting for any official confirmation from the palace or authorities. Videos of the incident quickly spread across YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. On Twitter, people shared their thoughts, comments, and created trending hashtags. TikTok saw a flood of creatively edited videos from the moment Camilla fell to the confident speech Prince William gave shortly afterward. YouTube channels turned the event into breaking news, featuring eye-catching thumbnails with bold text and shocked expressions to attract viewers. The world didn't just watch, it formed divided opinions, asked questions, and responded passionately. The incident was not merely a health concern, but carried deep emotions connected to past stories and events within the royal family. Camilla has faced many challenges over the years: rumors, intense media scrutiny, and even harsh opposition. Many believe her collapse was the inevitable result of carrying a heavy psychological burden for too long. They see it as a tragedy, a moment reflecting a woman who had endured immense pressure for many years. However, not everyone views the situation the same way. Some see it not only as Camilla's personal failure, but also as a symbol of a deeper, more profound change. According to them, the monarchy is stagnant, clinging to outdated traditions and powers. Camilla's collapse is seen as a sign marking the beginning of a new era, more modern and better suited to today's world. V2. A standout tweet perfectly captured this sentiment. Diana paved the way for Catherine to shine. Camilla's incident became a turning point, leading to significant changes within the royal family. This tweet was quickly shared by thousands, spreading into a powerful and inspiring message. People began openly taking sides, especially the younger generation. They supported Prince William and Princess Catherine, seeing them as symbols of sincerity and approachability, a stark contrast to the distant image of the monarchy in the past. In their eyes, William and Catherine represent a new future, strong yet compassionate, blending royal tradition with modern human values. However, the older generation holds a different perspective. They are not ready to move past the past and still believe that the monarchy symbolizes something steadfast and solemn. They worry that this moment signals the loss of those values. The rapid pace of change makes long-established customs seem like they are disappearing. Inside the palace walls, the tension is even more intense. What was supposed to be a peaceful event suddenly turned into a public emergency. Staff whisper, strategize, and debate endlessly. They wonder whether to issue an official statement to clarify the situation or prioritize protecting Camilla's privacy to soothe the public. Every decision in this situation was a risky choice, yet nothing remains a secret for long. Media outlets quickly published articles with eye-catching headlines like "The Queen's Collapse," "The Rise of the Prince," or "The End of an Era." This led a global audience not only to observe but also to analyze the situation more deeply. People around the world began exploring topics such as authority-power transition and what was to come. While Camilla attracted attention, another figure, Catherine, quietly stepped into the spotlight. She didn't speak publicly or seek attention, but many people noticed her presence. People saw her beside William, confident and graceful in her quiet presence. Catherine had no intention of becoming a leader, but she naturally took on that role. Without saying a word, she became memorable, strong yet gentle calm amid the chaos. Her influence wasn't flashy, but carried great power. The day began like many other royal events, filled with ceremony, pride, and tradition. However, by the end of the day, the atmosphere seemed to have shifted. People were no longer just curious about Camilla's health, but were also thinking about the future of the monarchy. The answer remains unclear, but recent events reveal that becoming a monarch is not just about being born into royalty or following tradition. It's also about building connections, being present, and possessing a silent power that doesn't require a crown to be acknowledged. When one falls, the rise of another becomes evident. In the ensuing silence, a new chapter begins, one that may change the monarchy forever. Catherine is the one stepping forward. During the royal family's turbulent times, Princess Catherine stood out like a beacon of calm and leadership. Despite the tensions and swirling rumors, she remained graceful and composed at an important charity event. Dressed in royal blue, she spoke softly with a gentle voice, emphasizing unity and looking toward the future. Her presence served as a reminder of the values that truly matter during difficult times. Although the venue wasn't grand, the impact she made was profound. With sincere and warm words, she touched the hearts of people across the country with just a few sentences. In a short time, she brought a sense of comfort and stability to the public. She offered no criticism, made no grand promises, and gave no lengthy explanations. Instead, her calm demeanor and steady attitude spoke volumes. She simply stood there as a reminder that even in times of uncertainty, a solid foundation still exists. The public yearning for authenticity took notice and felt something they hadn't in a long time: hope. Her speech quickly sparked widespread discussion across social media, with many expressing admiration through views, shares, and comments. She was praised as the calm cornerstone of the royal family, and many believed this was the defining moment when she truly stepped into her role. Not only is she seen as the future queen, but also as the emotional center of the monarchy. Without fanfare or haste, her quiet presence made a powerful impact. However, inside the palace, nothing was calm. The atmosphere was tense. An organization that once ran smoothly had become divided, uncertain, and filled with fear. Decision-making grew increasingly sluggish. Meetings stretched late into the night, and longtime allies began whispering in secret. Power was slowly shifting, but no one wanted to acknowledge it openly. King Charles grew increasingly weary as his health declined, while Queen Camilla was almost absent from the public eye. Though he tried to appear cheerful during his appearances, those close to him could see he was struggling under the pressure. The crown still rested on his head, but power was slowly slipping from his grasp. Traditionalists wanted everything to remain as it was, while a new faction looked to Prince William with hopes for change. The division extended beyond politics, seeping into the personal relationships within the palace. Some longtime aides were wary of the monarchy's rapid modernization, while those close to William and Catherine supported bold, immediate reforms. Many remained silent, watching carefully to see which side would prevail. Queen Camilla, once a regular presence beside King Charles, had now all but vanished from public view. She canceled her entire schedule and withdrew from all public appearances. The palace remained tight-lipped about the change, with only quiet rumors suggesting she was taking time to rest and recover. However, it was clear that she was no longer as present as she once was. Queen Camilla had quietly stepped back, leaving a void that was being filled not by Charles, but by Catherine. Meanwhile, Prince William was far from idle. He had taken on more responsibilities, attended more meetings, spoken out more frequently, and increased his public appearances. William became involved in international matters, met with world leaders, and made critical decisions. But he wasn't doing it alone. Catherine was always by his side, offering support and providing stability. Together, they demonstrated what the next generation of royalty could look like, not just ceremonial, but truly active and engaged. This wasn't about titles or official ceremonies, it was about real action. William and Catherine were leading. Though not formally declared, it was clear to everyone. The public saw it, royal staff felt it, and even those loyal to King Charles couldn't deny it. While the king remained, the face of the monarchy power had begun shifting rapidly. Catherine's approach made her stand out. She didn't seek attention or demand the spotlight. Instead of noise, she quietly rose to the highest ranks through patience and steady progress.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
That calm demeanor was her true strength. At a time when the public needed reassurance, Catherine became the figure they trusted. Many began to see that this wasn't just the story of a future queen, it was the sign of a larger transformation. The monarchy was quietly evolving without the need for any official announcement. And Catherine was leading that change. Investigations and discussions began to surface. The public shifted from curiosity to firm belief that a transfer of power was underway not through a traditional coronation, but through subtle gestures and knowing glances. As the sun set behind the palace, while the outside world buzzed with rumors and headlines, something had shifted within those walls. The future had arrived not with a bang, but with clarity, and it looked different. Perhaps the future of the monarchy isn't unfolding with grand displays, but with quiet grace and steady leadership. Could it be that the future of the monarchy is already underway, not with a crown, but with quiet dignity and a steady hand? A crown is passing on. Changes are happening at Buckingham Palace, but they are neither loud nor dramatic. There are no scandals or family conflicts splashed across the headlines, yet a subtle transformation is underway. The British monarchy, renowned for its strong traditions, is beginning to evolve quietly and gradually, not by choice, but by necessity. For years, the royal family has represented stability. The king and queen held power from a distance. Despite wars, economic downturns, and shifting public opinions, the crown remained unchanged. That is its strength. It stays constant while everything else changes. But now everything is different. The foundation of the palace is beginning to shift not out of anger or fear, but from a sense of acceptance. The world has evolved, and the monarchy must adapt as well. This new feeling didn't appear suddenly. It came subtly, like a gentle whisper. It was clearly reflected in Prince William's recent speech. Though his words seemed polite and refined, there was a deeper meaning if you listened closely. Instead of focusing on preserving the past, he emphasized the need for progress. He wasn't seeking approval, but confidently stepping into the role destined for him. The core message was clear: traditional methods are no longer enough. People are craving authenticity and genuine human connection. This message is conveyed not only in William's speeches, but also through his everyday actions. He attends important meetings representing the monarchy with both strength and passion. William doesn't cling to the past. Instead, he embraces new ways. His approach feels sincere and unforced. Though he hasn't yet worn the crown, he carries its weight gracefully. However, he is not alone on this journey. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, walks beside him. She exudes calmness, thoughtfulness, and grace without appearing distant.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
V5. Her presence brings comfort to everyone. Instead of being a distant figure behind barriers or waving from balconies, she connects with people through friendly smiles, gentle words, and a serene demeanor. She adds a fresh touch to the royal family's image, making it more approachable and compassionate. Together, William and Kate showcase a different side of royalty, relatable and trustworthy, rather than distant and cold. Meanwhile, the older generation is beginning to step back. King Charles remains present and respected, but he no longer speaks out as much as before. He still holds a leadership role, but more from behind the scenes. Camilla, once the center of attention, now seems more at ease keeping her distance. This change isn't negative or disheartening. It's simply a natural progression. Change doesn't always happen suddenly. Sometimes it's a gradual shift, like the changing of the seasons. The royal family is evolving. It's no longer just about following old traditions and strict roles. Now it's about creating connections and being authentic in a world that demands more. Prince William understands this clearly. He doesn't imitate his father or his grandmother. Instead, he is striving to embody a kind of royalty that people today can relate to, honest, up-to-date, and emotionally aware of what's happening in the world. You can notice the change in the small things. The way people talk about the monarchy now is different. You see it in what's written in the newspapers and online. Younger generations feel closer to and more invested in the monarchy. Charles still wears the crown, but the focus is no longer solely on him. All eyes have shifted to William and Kate. Now they are the center of attention and leading the way. This is not the end of the monarchy, but it marks the close of an old era and the beginning of something new. It symbolizes a fresh start, filled with hope, kindness, and humanity. Although many may never enter the palace, the warmth and positivity inside are beginning to be felt through William and Kate. This change has already begun even without an official announcement. Amid silence and ceremony, a quiet evolution is unfolding within one of Britain's most closely guarded institutions. While the new sovereign has arrived, Charles remains king with the crown upon his head. The ceremony has taken place, and the oath has been sworn as the world watches him assume his new role. Yet a slow and steady shift is underway. By paying attention to the subtle shifts in mood and tone, it becomes clear Prince William is taking on the leadership role. Although he does not hold the title of king in name in the eyes of the international public, William is the true bearer of the British monarchy's crown. There is no coronation ceremony, no official declaration, but every action, every appearance, every speech speaks clearly William has stepped forward, and no one can stop it. At first, it was all just small signs, a few extra speeches. A subtle shift in media focused the increasing presence of William and Catherine at events. Then came the bigger changes. Camilla disappeared from the public eye. The place beside Charles where a queen would usually stand was left empty, and the ones filling that space, none other than William and Catherine. They were not there just for ceremony. They were working, they were acting, they were leading. Charles is still there. He still signs documents, still appears at important events. But the spotlight has shifted away from him. The public now listens to someone else, someone more admired, someone more trusted. And that someone is William. His name now resonates in international meetings. World leaders don't just greet him out of protocol, they turn to him for genuine negotiations. And when he speaks, the world listens. The public has changed too. They respect Charles, but they adore William. They admire his calmness and quiet steadfastness. They see in him a true leader, modern, adaptable, yet never losing the royal identity. And Catherine. She is not just a companion. She is a pillar, a reflection of elegance paired with action. With every appearance, Catherine makes the monarchy feel closer, more authentic. But not everyone welcomes this change. Some within the inner circle call it a silent transfer of power unauthorized, a challenge to the traditional order. They fear that if the rules can be bent, eventually they might be broken entirely. But whether you agree or not, the undeniable truth is this: everything has changed. The public's gaze no longer fixates on the throne. Instead, it turns toward the one who is truly moving forward. William doesn't need a crown to lead. Catherine doesn't need the title of queen to comfort millions of hearts. The future of the monarchy may not begin with a grand coronation, but with quiet gestures, steadfast actions, and unassuming leadership. Could William be quietly reshaping the monarchy right before our eyes? Is the crown being passed on not through ceremony, but through the trust of millions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our in-depth analyses coming up. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you in the next videos. Welcome to our channel. Today we're about to witness an emotional moment as Prince William shares the final words Princess Diana entrusted to him, causing King Charles to break down in tears. This is a surprising and heartfelt story that reveals the deep emotions and bonds the royal family has kept hidden for years. Don't miss it. Join us to experience the profound love and connection within the royal family. Why was the car speeding at such a dangerous rate? Did the driver really lose control, or was there pressure from another source? And most importantly, who was following Diana that night, preventing her from finding a final moment of peace? These questions remain unanswered, and it's this prolonged silence that has led many to believe there's a greater truth being hidden behind the incident. If you find this story interesting, drop a comment with the number 1. If not, comment 0. Don't forget to share the video and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more exciting videos. Now let's dive into the story together. For years, conspiracy theories have become an inseparable part of any conversation about Diana. Many believe that her death was not merely an accident, but the result of a carefully planned plot. They think that because Diana broke the boundaries of a traditional royal family member, daring to love, speak her mind, and live like an ordinary person, she became a threat to those forces determined to keep everything within strict control. But until now, no one involved has ever spoken out publicly. There has never been an official confession until Diana's own son, Prince William, shocked the world. In a deeply emotional moment, he broke down in tears as he openly shared his belief about who was behind his mother's death. It was not just the words of a deeply hurt son, but the voice from the heart of a living witness who grew up in the shadow of loss and silence. That confession struck like an earthquake, shaking the faith of millions. Everything that had been staged or officially declared suddenly faded in comparison to the heartfelt emotions of a son desperate for the truth. The entire royal family was shaken by what William revealed. This was not just a family matter. It was a truth that could change an entire generation's perception of what really happened behind the palace's grand doors. Diana was always someone special in the eyes of the public, not just because of her glamorous appearance or royal status, but because she brought a sense of warmth and kindness that few in the monarchy could show. She never shied away from sensitive issues, nor was she afraid to face the pain of others. From hospitals to orphanages, from HIV/AIDS centers to forgotten, impoverished lands, she showed up with her whole heart, not for image, but to listen and truly connect with every human life she encountered. People loved her not for her title, but for her compassion. Her gentle smile, empathetic eyes, the way she would bend down to hold the hand of an anonymous patient, all created the image of a people's princess, just as the late Prime Minister Tony Blair once called her. To the public, she was not just a symbol, but the embodiment of hope and kindness in a world full of injustice. Yet behind that strong exterior was a lonely woman. Her marriage to Prince Charles, once seen as a modern fairy tale, ultimately became a series of days filled with tears and pain. Diana faced coldness, betrayal, and the strict rules of the royal family that made her feel increasingly isolated. Many nights she cried alone, and often she shared feelings of being sidelined in her own life. She was a mother above all else, always giving her whole heart to her two sons. William and Harry were the reason she kept living and fighting. She taught them how to love and how to see the world through their hearts, not from the throne. Her maternal love was so deep that even after her passing, her influence remained strong in their lives and actions to this day. That's why William's tearful confession is not just a revelation of the truth, but also a final act to protect the memory of their mother, a woman who loved him unconditionally but did not receive the protection she deserved when she needed it most. Though Diana's life was filled with many hardships, no matter the circumstances, she always placed her two sons, William and Harry, at the center of her world. With unconditional love and a deep motherly instinct, she did everything she could to protect and raise them in her own way, a way unlike any royal tradition before. Diana believed that to become good people, William and Harry needed to understand the real world, the world of ordinary people. She didn't want her sons to grow up as golden cages on legs detached from reality and sheltered by the cold traditions of royalty. Instead of letting their lives be confined by protocol, she created simple yet meaningful memories, taking them to fast food restaurants like any other kids, holding their hands while walking in public parks, and organizing unplanned trips outside of official royal schedules. Those seemingly small acts became sacred pieces of William and Harry's memories, moments where they lived like any other ordinary children, times when their mother truly listened and laughed with them without being bound by protocol or prying eyes. For the two princes, these were indelible proofs of maternal love, a love no title could ever replace. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1, 1961, near Sandringham, England. She came from an aristocratic family as the daughter of Edward John Spencer, the 8th Earl Spencer, and Frances Ruth Burke Roche, later known as Lady Frances Shand Kidd. When her father officially succeeded to the title of Earl Spencer in 1975, Diana became Lady Diana Spencer. Her family included 4 children, 2 older sisters, Jane Fellows and Sarah McCorquodale, and a younger brother, Charles Spencer, who later became the 9th Earl Spencer. Another brother, John, tragically passed away shortly after birth, just 1 year before Diana was born, leaving a silent void filled with sorrow in the family. Both of Diana's grandmothers, Cynthia Spencer and Ruth Roche, served as ladies-in-waiting in the royal household, directly attending Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Because of this, although she was not born in a palace, Diana grew up surrounded by aristocratic influence and the ever-present shadow of royalty. However, her childhood was far from the peaceful life often imagined of aristocracy. Her parents' marriage was fraught with deep conflicts, partly due to the pressure to have a son to inherit the title. Before her younger brother Charles was born, her mother Frances endured immense pressure from her in-laws, an element that contributed to the marriage's breakdown. Ultimately, Diana's parents divorced when she was still very young. After the divorce, Diana's father gained custody of all 4 children. He later remarried Reine, the Countess of Dartmouth, a woman Diana never truly got along with. The tense relationship between them lasted for many years and became one of the reasons Diana felt her childhood was unhappy. She described her upbringing as extremely unstable, emotionally empty and cold. Diana attended Riddlesworth Hall, a private school for girls, before transferring to West Heath School, where she continued her studies through her teenage years. Although she was not highly regarded for academic achievements, she always stood out for her kindness, sensitivity, and empathy. These qualities later became the foundation for the special role she would play in the public eye, a princess who was approachable, sincere, and possessed a rare, compassionate heart. Though a rather shy girl, Diana always had a special love for music and dance places where she found joy and freedom. After completing her studies at the Alpine Institute in Switzerland, she moved to London, starting work as a nanny and later becoming an assistant at a kindergarten. Her passion for children was evident both in her work and in her lifestyle. Diana first met Prince Charles when he was dating her sister. But it wasn't until 1980 that they truly grew closer and began a relationship that attracted huge media attention. Despite their 13-year age difference, they got engaged just a few months later. Charles proposed with a stunning sapphire ring inspired by Queen Victoria's jewelry. This proposal marked the beginning of one of the century's biggest events, their royal wedding on July 29, 1981 at St. Paul's Cathedral, watched by over 1 billion people worldwide. Diana's wedding dress, adorned with thousands of pearls and a 25-foot-long veil, became an iconic symbol of the era. After the wedding, Diana officially became the Princess of Wales and stepped into the royal life full of pressure. However, instead of just following protocol, she carved out her own role, becoming a voice for the vulnerable. Diana became famous for her compassion and charitable work, especially with the homeless, HIV/AIDS patients and disadvantaged children. She never hesitated to get close to them, touching their lives with genuine compassion, breaking through barriers that the royal family had traditionally maintained. Her life was a blend of fame and sacrifice, of glamour and silent pain. Above all, she is remembered as a woman with a kind heart, always choosing love despite royal conventions. Everyone who knew Princess Diana, whether through images, media, or stories, held a deep admiration for her. Her gentle beauty, grace, and compassionate heart made her an icon beyond any royal boundaries. Yet on one fateful night, everything changed forever. On the night of August 31, 1997, the world was shocked by the news that Princess Diana, a beloved woman known for her compassion and tireless charity work, had died in a tragic car accident in Paris. She was only 36 years old. The crash claimed the lives of Diana, her boyfriend Dodi Al-Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul. According to official reports, Henry was driving under the influence of alcohol and speeding to escape the relentless pursuit of paparazzi chasing them. Dodi Al-Fayed was the son of billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed. After Diana divorced Prince Charles, she and Dodi began a romantic relationship. They spent the summer together, enjoying time on a yacht along the French Riviera. But upon returning to Paris, their private life continued to be surrounded by paparazzi. That evening, they stayed at the Ritz Hotel owned by Dodi's family. After a late dinner to avoid media attention, they left the hotel through a back exit, got into a black Mercedes, and departed into the night. Just minutes later, the car sped through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, chased closely by flashing camera lights and the roar of pursuing photographers' engines. The car lost control and crashed violently into a concrete pillar inside the tunnel. Dodi and the driver died instantly. Diana was still alive when taken into the ambulance but did not survive. Her death was not only a heartbreaking loss, but also the beginning of countless questions. doubts and conspiracy theories that have persisted for decades. Why were they being chased so relentlessly? Was Henry Paul really drunk? And was it just an accident, or was there something more behind it? Footage from the hotel's security cameras showed Henry Paul walking normally with no signs of intoxication, as the initial reports claimed. From there, public skepticism began to rise. Was this really just a traffic accident? Could Princess Diana's death be the result of a hidden truth, never revealed? The big question remains, why would an experienced man like Henry Paul, the security chief of a prestigious hotel, make such a risky decision? Why would he drive in a dangerous state, carrying one of the world's most famous and beloved women, just to escape a few photographers? For many, the simple answer is that it was an accident caused by reckless driving under the pressure of the media. But for independent investigators and conspiracy believers, they see a different picture, deeper, more complex, and more disturbing. One of the most controversial theories is that the accident was not a random event, but the result of a deliberately orchestrated conspiracy. Those who support this view believe that powerful forces did not want the relationship between Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed to go any further. A relationship between a royal family member and a wealthy Middle Eastern Muslim, according to some, was unacceptable to the conservative British elite at the time. Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, publicly accused the British royal family of interference, fearing that the monarchy's reputation and image would be damaged if Diana married someone outside the white Christian aristocracy. He claimed that his son and Diana were planning to marry and even suggested that she was pregnant. Although no concrete evidence has ever been found to support this, his statement sparked a strong wave of suspicion and doubt. Despite widespread suspicions, the official French investigation in 1999 and the subsequent British inquiry in 2008 both concluded that the accident was caused by drunk driving combined with excessive speed. However, conspiracy theorists argue that the investigation reports failed to clarify all the unclear aspects of the case details that led them to question the true transparency of the entire process. One of the unresolved mysteries is the presence of a white Fiat Uno. According to witnesses and physical evidence, this car is believed to have lightly collided with the Mercedes carrying Diana just before they entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. This Fiat was never found. The driver never came forward. Even more strangely, the white paint found on Diana's car, the most crucial evidence to trace the incident, mysteriously disappeared from police storage before the audit. The disappearance of this evidence has fueled public suspicion. If it was truly just a traffic accident, why was such a crucial detail not properly preserved? And if no one intended to cover anything up, why have so many related data vanished or become inaccessible? Moreover, another strange detail intensified the doubts. The security cameras at the tunnel entrance, which should have recorded the entire accident, stopped working exactly at the time of the incident. This technical failure was eerily coincidental. Conspiracy theorists call this the time blackout, the moment when the truth that should have been preserved completely disappeared. Suspicion deepened when Richard Tomlinson, a former MI6 agent, came forward. He claimed to have seen an internal document describing a plan to assassinate a high-profile figure by staging a car accident in a narrow tunnel. According to him, the description closely matched what happened at the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. While he did not directly confirm that this plan was carried out against Diana, his testimony sent chills and raised even more questions. However, official investigators dismissed Tomlinson's claims due to a lack of concrete physical evidence. They considered it mere speculation without legal basis. Yet for those who have always doubted the investigation's conclusions, the inability to uncover new evidence is itself a sign that something has been meticulously hidden. Diana was once the most closely watched woman on the planet, with every step of hers relentlessly pursued by the press and cameras. Yet in the most fateful moment, the moment that took her life, there was no footage, no sound, no concrete evidence, just a chilling silence in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. It is precisely this silence, along with a series of unclear details, that has made Princess Diana's death one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century. And even now, many years later, that question quietly remains in the hearts of millions: what truly happened that night? Diana was once the most closely watched woman on the planet, with every step of hers relentlessly pursued by the press and cameras. Yet in the most fateful moment, the moment that took her life, there was no footage, no sound, no concrete evidence, just a chilling silence in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. It is precisely this silence, along with a series of unclear details, that has made Princess Diana's death one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century. And even now, many years later, that question quietly remains in the hearts of millions: what truly happened that night? Meanwhile, the coroner's office revealed that Diana's seatbelt was not fastened properly, a crucial factor contributing to her tragic death. This raises the question: how could a mother who always protected her children with all her heart be so careless? Some media analysts argue that blaming her for not wearing a seatbelt was merely an attempt to divert public attention away from the gaps and mistakes in the official investigation. The deeper we dig into the matter, the more complex and mysterious the web of interests surrounding Diana becomes. There are media corporations exploiting her image for profit, politicians trying to cover up scandals linked to the royal family, and even extremist groups opposing relationships between Muslims and Christians. All of these seem to form a secret curtain shrouding Diana's death. The first three witnesses at the accident scene, Dr. Frederick Mal's photographer Ronald Ratt and taxi driver George Barman, initially testified that there were hardly any paparazzi around the tunnel area, completely contradicting media reports. They even described the scene as empty and strange. However, later, two of them retracted their statements, making the story even more vague and confusing. More than 2 decades have passed, with 4 major investigations and thousands of pages of documents released, yet the official conclusion remains that it was a simple accident. However, every year, as millions of flowers are laid outside Kensington Palace on the anniversary, as Diana's unpublished diaries continue to capture public attention, and as Prince William and Prince Harry gradually express doubts about the integrity of the case files, the story behind the princess's death continues to smolder like a flame that refuses to be extinguished. Perhaps that is why every clue, no matter how small, has been relentlessly pursued, drawing endless attention from the public and the media. People don't just want to know who caused the Mercedes to speed out of control on that fateful night. They also want to uncover who silenced the compassionate heart of the people's princess. Because when Diana left us, the world lost not only a fashion icon and a symbol of compassion, but also a powerful voice, a resilient emblem in the fight against injustice and prejudice. And even now, her story remains an unsolved mystery, waiting for the day the truth will finally be revealed. Diana lost a hand that once reached out to AIDS patients at a time when the world was filled with prejudice and stigma. That loss, along with the unanswered questions, turned the accident into a deep scar in the memory of both England and the global community. Until the full truth is revealed, the story behind her death continues to haunt and inspire those seeking justice worldwide in their relentless journey to find answers. Many people are dissatisfied with the simple explanation that it was just an accident. Mohammed Al-Fayed, father of Dodi Al-Fayed, is one of the strongest proponents of conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death. He claimed that Diana and Dodi were assassinated by British intelligence, possibly under the orders of Prince Philip, to prevent Diana from marrying a Muslim and having his children. Mohammed Al-Fayed also asserted that Diana was pregnant and that the couple planned to get engaged. Some believe that Henry Paul, the driver of the Mercedes, was an agent of British or French intelligence, and that his alleged intoxication was either exaggerated or staged. The absence of crucial CCTV footage related to the accident and the chaotic circumstances surrounding Diana's death has fueled widespread suspicion. Although there were 16 cameras installed in the tunnel where the crash occurred, none of them were operational at the time. A popular theory involves eyewitness testimonies describing a strange flash of light just before the accident. Some witnesses, like Francois Levestre and American tourist Brian Anderson, reported seeing a dazzling flash as Diana's car entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Levestre stated that he saw a flash in the rearview mirror that could have disoriented the driver. However, inconsistencies in Levestre's testimony, along with his 1989 fraud conviction, have undermined his credibility. His wife also disputed his account, and no other witnesses mentioned seeing any such flash of light. A detailed reconstruction of the accident found no evidence of any spark or flash, concluding that the car lost control before entering the tunnel. Another theory revolves around Diana not wearing her seatbelt on the night of the accident, despite regularly doing so while driving. This raised suspicions of possible sabotage or interference. The 26-minute delay in transporting Diana to the hospital also sparked controversy, leading some to suspect intentional delays in the emergency response. Finally, in 2013, a former soldier of the British Royal Airborne Regiment SAS, known as Soldier N, claimed that the SAS was involved in orchestrating Diana's death. This statement emerged during the trial of another SAS member. In response to these concerns, the United Kingdom launched a separate investigation called Operation Paget to clarify the allegations and suspicions surrounding the death of the Princess of Wales. The investigation, initiated by the British police in 2004, about 7 years after the accident, aimed to thoroughly review all conspiracy theories that had emerged since Princess Diana's death in 1997. This inquiry carefully examined all relevant evidence, including a letter Diana had written the events leading up to the crash, as well as the actions of those present and involved in the incident. In 2006, Operation Paget released its official findings. The investigation concluded that there was no evidence supporting any conspiracy theories. Similar to the earlier French investigation, Operation Paget confirmed that the cause of the accident was the driver Henry Paul, who was driving under the influence of alcohol and at excessive speed. The investigation found no proof of an assassination plot against Princess Diana, and the crash was regarded as a tragic accident. Despite the official conclusion, many people remain unconvinced and continue to pursue conspiracy theories, particularly citing a letter Diana once wrote expressing her fear of a potential tragedy. Additionally, Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, has contributed to the public's heightened interest in the princess's private life. Paul Burrell worked very closely with Diana since 1987 and was considered her most trusted confidant. Diana once called him her greatest support during difficult times. After Diana's passing, Burrell revealed many private stories and hidden aspects of her life, giving the public a deeper insight into the real Diana beyond the royal glamour. If you find this story interesting and want to learn more, don't forget to share the video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any more exciting videos. Now let's continue the story together. Burrell's revelations shed light on the loneliness and isolation Diana experienced despite being one of the most famous people in the world. She often felt unable to fully trust those around her, which contributed to the eating disorders she struggled with throughout her life. Burrell also revealed details about the turbulent marriage between Diana and Prince Charles, showing that behind the globally watched wedding were private difficulties and challenges Diana had to face. These insights helped the public better understand the hardships the Princess of Wales endured in her life and marriage. Princess Diana was fully aware of Prince Charles's close relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, which caused her immense pain. In an interview, Diana candidly stated that there were 3 people in her marriage, referring to Charles, Camilla, and herself. Revelations from Paul Burrell, her close butler, have helped the public gain a deeper understanding of the heavy emotional impact this situation had on Diana. She went through profound periods of sadness and felt overwhelmed by the pressures and events surrounding her. However, Diana always maintained deep compassion and empathy for the less fortunate. She often helped quietly without media attention or fanfare because she truly wanted to make a difference in the lives of those in need. After divorcing Charles, Diana was determined to forge her own path and find her personal voice within the constraints of royal life. Although it wasn't easy, she remained steadfast in her commitment to do good and create a positive impact on the world. Paul Burrell admired Diana's resilience and often spoke about how she maintained her spirit even during the toughest times. Motherhood was a profoundly important part of Diana's life, something Burrell shared openly with the public. He talked about the boundless love she had for her 2 sons, William and Harry, as well as her efforts to shield them from the heavy pressures of royal life. Diana always wished for her children to have as normal a childhood as possible. Despite growing up under the public eye, Diana took her role as a mother very seriously. She always made an effort to spend quality time with her children, ensuring they were happy and could grow up normally. One touching story Paul Burrell shared was how Diana would secretly leave the palace to have private moments with William and Harry. Despite her busy schedule and constant media attention, she always prioritized her sons, often planning secret trips with Paul's help to create precious memories for them. After Princess Diana's death in 1997, Paul Burrell, her trusted butler, released a book titled A Royal Duty in 2003, in which he shared many personal and profound stories about Diana's life and the challenges she faced. The book quickly sparked controversy, with some people believing Paul should not have revealed Diana's private details, while others appreciated it for providing a more honest and deeper perspective on her life. Paul Burrell defended his decision to write the book, asserting that he wanted the world to better understand the real person behind Diana and the difficulties she faced. He also shared the deep sorrow and sense of loss he felt witnessing the passing of someone so close to him, while feeling a responsibility to protect Diana's memory so that the truth about her life would not be forgotten. His revelations helped the public realize that although Diana was a global icon, she was also a human being facing many personal struggles just like anyone else. However, Paul's decision to publicly share private stories sparked mixed reactions, especially from some members of the royal family, even leading to legal disputes over certain content in the book. Nevertheless, Paul maintained that he wrote the book with all the respect and love he had for Diana, hoping that her true story would be told honestly. Not everyone welcomed Paul's revelations. Some viewed them as an attempt to exploit a close relationship for personal gain. Among the public and media, the book drew significant attention, sparking many discussions about Princess Diana's private secrets. For many, Paul's accounts reinforced the belief that Diana's death held unresolved mysteries. He revealed that Diana had expressed fears for her own safety, which fueled suspicions about a possible conspiracy behind the accident. As a result, there have been numerous calls to reopen the investigation to clarify the truth. Some advocacy groups and members of the public began calling for a review of the evidence, hoping to uncover the full truth about the fateful night when Diana passed away. However, not everyone believed that the stories revealed by Paul Burrell could prove anything new. Some argued that the official investigation had already reached an accurate conclusion and questioned whether Paul's disclosures truly added any substantial insights. These people suspected that Paul might have exaggerated the closeness between himself and Diana, even fabricating dramatic details that were not true. This disagreement became a hot topic of debate among the public and media. Nevertheless, Paul's revelations had a significant impact because Diana has always been a deeply beloved public figure, and stories about her only heightened that attention. Paul's disclosure of many private details also caused considerable tension within the royal family, as the issues he exposed were things the monarchy preferred to keep secret. In particular, Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were strongly affected by the public scrutiny and rumors surrounding their mother. Both were very young when they lost their mother and have spent many years coping with this loss. Despite the passage of time, public and media interest in Diana has never waned. In recent years, Prince Harry has openly shared his struggles, especially the profound impact of his mother's death. In his memoir, Spare, published on January 10, 2023, Harry recounts personal experiences, his complicated relationship with his family, and the events that led him and his wife, Meghan Markle, to step back from their royal duties and leave the United Kingdom. Spare offers an intimate insight into Harry's life, depicting feelings of isolation and not belonging within his own family, as well as the challenges he faced growing up in the royal spotlight. The book's title alludes to the concept of the heir and the spare, reflecting the sense of being undervalued and alienated that Harry once endured. The book touches on many profound topics, including Harry's childhood, the tremendous impact of Princess Diana's death, his experiences in the British military, and his complicated relationships with his brother Prince William and his father King Charles III. The memoir also addresses his father's later marriage to Queen Camilla, as well as Harry's own marriage to Meghan Markle, an American actress outside of royalty, which marked a turning point leading to increasing tensions within the royal family. Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from their roles as senior members of the royal family further complicated the situation. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced their intention to withdraw from royal duties. Spare was released amid great public and media anticipation, receiving mixed reactions. Some praised Harry's honesty and openness, while others felt he revealed too much of his private life. Despite the varied opinions, Spare made history as the best-selling non-fiction book of all time. In the summer of 2021, Harry shared that he wrote the memoir not as the prince he was born to be, but as the man he has become. In a statement, the Duke of Sussex said, "I wrote this book not as the prince I was born to be, but as the man I have become." He emphasized that his story includes ups and downs, mistakes, and valuable lessons, hoping to show that despite different backgrounds, we share more in common than we think, and even the wealthy face hardships. In January 2020, The Times reported that Harry reconsidered publishing the memoir after visiting his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, but ultimately decided to continue sharing his story with the world. However, if ambition overshadows purpose, public trust could waver, and for Camilla, her role may well be the most pivotal turning point. Will she bravely step into a role that promotes supporting values or seek to reclaim her former prominence? The monarchy stands at a crossroads: rebirth or breakdown. The next move could be a declaration of unity or the final spark of division in a rapidly changing world. Although the Queen had passed, her legacy continued to shape the monarchy's history and profoundly influence how people envisioned its future. This moment marked a turning point, inspiring renewed faith and optimism for the royal family's journey ahead. This emotion was also shared by their uncle Charles Spencer. Harry affirmed that he wanted to attend the funeral alongside William, believing that if their roles were reversed, his brother would do the same. For many years, Harry believed that his mother had faked her death to escape the paparazzi, a belief that William had also once shared. Harry criticized the official investigation into Diana's death and questioned why the paparazzi involved were never held accountable. Both Harry and William had considered issuing a joint statement calling for a reopening of the investigation, but were ultimately persuaded not to do so. During a visit to Paris in 2007, Harry asked the driver to take the same route through the tunnel where his mother died, driving at the same speed as that day. A decision he later regretted, as it only intensified his pain. In his search for comfort, Harry admitted that he turned to a woman who claimed to have psychic abilities to connect with his mother. He also candidly shared about his past drug use, revealing that he tried cocaine at age 17 and took magic mushrooms at a party in 2016, which led to hallucinations. Regarding his military service, Harry recounted his time serving in Afghanistan, where he completed missions that resulted in the deaths of 25 Taliban members. He admitted that during that time he did not see them as human beings but merely as pawns on a chessboard, and that killing them brought him neither satisfaction nor regret. Harry also shared about the tense relationship with his father and stepmother Camilla, Charles's wife. Initially, he and William agreed to accept Camilla into the family on the condition that Charles would not marry her. However, when his father decided to marry Camilla, Harry realized he was simply following the call of his heart. He accused Camilla of leaking private conversations to the press to boost her own image, and claimed that both Charles and Camilla publicly disclosed his drug use to garner sympathy and exploit their own reputations. Harry also said that William feels guilty for not speaking out about their father's relationship with Camilla, which caused his brother a lot of pain and confusion. He even accused Camilla of having a role in their mother's death, believing that she was the reason behind the breakdown of their parents' marriage. Despite these complex emotions, Harry acknowledged that his father found happiness after marrying Camilla and wished them both well. He even wondered if Camilla might be less dangerous if she were more accepted. Harry also revealed that his role as best man at William's 2011 wedding wasn't quite what everyone imagined. When James Mee and Thomas Van Strobenzee gave speeches at the reception, Harry felt it was the right decision because he was worried he might say something inappropriate. Additionally, Harry shared candid moments about his relationship with Meghan Markle. On their first date, he was on a racing boat with no restroom and ended up wetting his pants. He also admitted regretting searching for intimate scenes of Meghan in tight outfits, saying now he wishes he hadn't done that. During an argument, Harry got very angry when Meghan said she wouldn't forgive such behavior and suggested he should seek therapy. Harry believes his mother played a part in bringing Meghan into his life. He recounts 2 signs that told him Meghan was pregnant: first, when she sang to a group of seals, and he was convinced they sang back. And second, when Meghan brought 2 pregnancy tests and placed them on his bedside table. When they both confirmed the good news, Harry expressed gratitude, hoping his mother had helped bring it about. The couple announced the pregnancy to the family at Princess Eugenie's wedding in October 2018. During Meghan's labor, Harry used a laughing gas mask to stay calm. He also shared about Meghan's miscarriage in 2020 when they had to leave the hospital with their unborn child who was buried in a secret place under a jacaranda tree. The memoir also recounts the details of a confrontation between Harry and William at Nottingham Cottage in 2019. William came to resolve the tension between them and was said to have criticized Meghan as difficult, rude, and unpleasant. Harry denies these claims, calling them tabloid stories. During the argument, William was accused of grabbing Harry by the collar, breaking his necklace, and knocking him to the floor, where Harry hit a dog food bowl, causing minor injuries. Harry did not fight back, and William later regretted his actions and apologized. Harry immediately called a therapist, and Meghan was very upset when she found out. Harry revealed that his father, Charles, once questioned whether Meghan should continue acting due to limited finances. Charles supported the couple until they left the UK, but was also concerned that Meghan's fame might overshadow him. Harry also believed that Charles and Camilla were uncomfortable with the significant attention William and Kate received. Harry expressed surprise that the government-provided security for him was withdrawn after he stepped down from royal duties, while his uncle Prince Andrew retained his security despite facing serious allegations. Harry criticized the Sandringham summit, describing it as being manipulated by royal aides whom he referred to as bees, wasps, and flies, using deceitful tactics to consolidate power. Finally, Harry recounted the tense meeting with Charles and William following the funeral of Prince Philip in April 2021. Charles pleaded, "Please, boys, don't let my final years be miserable." Harry described William as his beloved older brother, but also his greatest rival. During a walk, William asked why Harry hadn't expressed his concerns earlier and suggested he should have raised his complaints with the Queen. Although William later told Harry that he loved him and only wanted him to be happy, Harry admitted that he didn't fully believe those words. The couple, Harry and Meghan, chose to make everything public in a revealing interview. The revelations related to Prince Harry continued to attract global attention, especially since his decision to step back from royal duties in 2020. Subsequent developments only added to the story's appeal. Although Harry and Meghan officially left their royal roles, they still could not escape the intense scrutiny of the media and the public. After the memoir was released, an interview revealed even deeper insights into the inner workings of the royal family. In the interview, Harry revealed details never disclosed in his book, particularly about the tense meeting with his brother William in 2021. He recalled the familiar furrowed brow on William's face, an expression he often saw whenever the two interacted, along with the noticeable changes in William's appearance, such as his increasingly severe hair loss and the gradual fading of features that resembled their mother. Harry emphasized that these comments were not meant to hurt, but rather to paint a more honest picture of their complex relationship, especially in the context of growing up under immense pressure. He stressed that the tension between them had existed long before Meghan came into the picture, dismissing the idea that she was the cause of the rift. The public once witnessed Harry and William growing up with the image of two close brothers. However, as Harry revealed, their lives took a completely different direction after their mother's death. Despite attending the same school, they were not as close as they appeared. William once asked Harry to pretend they didn't know each other at school, which deeply hurt Harry. Although both lost their mother, the two brothers faced the pain in very different ways. William tried to open up about their mother, but Harry, still very young at the time, didn't know how to express his emotions or face his grief. He didn't lack the desire, he just didn't know how to handle it. Princess Diana's funeral, watched by around 2.5 billion people worldwide, featured many immortal moments, with one of the most striking being the image of Harry and William walking behind their mother's coffin to Westminster Abbey. Harry recalled the profound silence, broken only by the sounds of hooves, rain wheels, and the gravel underfoot. It wasn't until the coffin was placed at the Spencer estate that Harry cried for the first time since his mother's death. As a teenager, Harry still struggled to accept the reality and wept over his mother's passing. He couldn't believe she had abandoned them, and even wondered if her death was part of a larger plan. For many years, Harry held on to the hope that his mother had simply disappeared temporarily and would one day return. Even after more than 2 decades, Princess Diana's legacy lives on, surpassing any royal title. She was not only a fashion icon and a devoted mother, but also a beacon of hope for the forgotten and marginalized in society. From holding the hands of AIDS patients during a time of global stigma to her campaigns against landmines, Diana set a new standard for compassion and social responsibility. She inspired women to live authentically, love boldly, and face pain with courage. If you're interested in the real stories behind the royal glamour, don't forget to like and share the video and leave your thoughts in the comments below to help spread the truth to more people. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for the latest videos about the lives, secrets, and hidden sides of the royal family. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Welcome to the channel. Today we will talk about an emotional and shocking moment in the British royal family at the age of 75. King Charles could not hold back his tears when facing terrible pressure from Queen Camilla, who was said to be using blackmail to control him. This was a dramatic power struggle where emotions, politics, and honor mixed together, making the whole world watch the king's every move in the storm of public opinion. Let's discover this never-before-revealed story. Who thought that the royal family had drama? What do you think about Queen Camilla using tricks to pressure King Charles? If you agree or have your own opinion, comment number 1 if you disagree. Comment number 0. Don't forget to subscribe to support the channel and watch more interesting videos. Once willing to fight against everything to be together, Charles and Camilla once amazed the world with their controversial fairy tale love story. But now the curtain is falling, revealing an unprecedented royal tragedy. The newly crowned king is said to have cried not in front of the media, but behind closed doors in the palace, when the woman he once loved passionately turned that love into a weapon of cold-blooded blackmail. Those tears were not shed to win sympathy from the public. They were shed in a room filled with the creepy whispers of secrets that could destroy the Windsor dynasty overnight. Rumors are swirling that Camilla holds a handwritten letter, an incriminating recording, and possibly irrefutable evidence of decades of scandal buried in the Buckingham Palace archives. With the click of a mouse, that dark past could explode into global headlines, shattering the image of a reforming monarch that Charles has tried so hard to project. The king trembles, fights back tears, and begs for more time. Meanwhile, Camilla remains silent, twirling her invisible weapon, using his deepest fears as a bargaining chip. Is she asking for money power or unprecedented privilege? No one knows for sure. The only thing that is certain is that in that moment the throne shook violently, and all of England held its breath, wondering whether the truth would burst forth or remain locked forever behind the cold, gilded walls of the palace. What seemed to be a reward of love for an innocent young girl turned into a gilded cage for Diana, where every breath was suffocated by betrayal and lies. When she married Prince Charles, the whole world celebrated. Crowds cheered, millions of eyes followed her every move, all believing they were witnessing a true fairy tale. But behind the magnificent palace doors, the truth was a tragedy that never ended. From the very beginning of her royal life, Diana felt lonely. She was not welcomed by her husband, but was only a strategic pawn to please the public and fulfill her duty to bear children. Camilla Parker Bowles, a name Diana could never forget or forgive, was always present like a shadow over her marriage. The relationship between Charles and Camilla was never truly over. His heart was never completely Diana's. Camilla was not just another woman, she was also a silent accomplice in Diana's loneliness. While Diana performed her duties with a smiling face in public, Charles poured out his warmth and care. Diana once admitted that she often felt invisible. Charles might be by her side in photographs and events, but emotionally he was elsewhere. Camilla, with her calm exterior and keen intuition, always held sway over Charles. Diana discovered secret gifts, handwritten letters, expensive jewelry. Each discovery was a stab to her wounded heart. The pain reached its peak when Diana confronted Camilla at a party and told her the bitter truth. "I know what's going on, don't take me for a fool." Diana's pain came not only from betrayal, but also from the cold silence of those around her. The royal family, instead of standing by her, chose to protect tradition and maintain their image. Diana was isolated, forced to keep quiet for the good of the royal family. No one asked if she was okay. No one really listened. That loneliness pushed her into depression and eating disorder and a complete loss of faith in her marriage. But Diana did not remain silent forever. She spoke out powerfully and unforgettable in a 1995 interview with the BBC that sent shockwaves around the world. Diana candidly revealed her threesome marriage, a story that had never been made public before and completely shattered the veil of illusion that the British royal family had tried to maintain for years. Her words not only caused a public outcry, but also shook the foundations of the monarchy as the public began to realize that the glamorous life outside the palace did not reflect the truth. Diana's voice, full of emotion and sincerity, became a symbol of courage and the right to speak the truth, changing the world's view of the royal family. Camilla, instead of showing remorse or avoidance, stood firmly by Charles, asserting her position in the complex struggle of the royal family. This proves that although Diana was deeply loved by the public around the world, she never truly won her husband's heart. Camilla's presence and growing role were not simply a love affair, but also a testament to the hidden power and complexity of royal relationships. This steadfastness made the confrontation between Diana and Camilla a battle not only of love, but also of honor and power. Diana's pain did not stop with her tumultuous and traumatic divorce. Just when she thought she had escaped the shadow of a sham marriage and could start a new life, fate tragically took her away in a car accident that is still full of mysteries that have yet to be solved. Diana's death not only caused a huge shock around the world, but also left a deep void in the hearts of the public. Unanswered questions about the cause of the accident, suspicions of staging or injustice, make her story all the more heartbreaking and dramatic. In the final months of her life, there were many rumors that Diana had found a new love, a ray of hope amidst the pain and suffering that had lasted for many years. That love was like a small, bright spot which could bring her peace and new faith. However, was this love enough to heal the deep wounds in her soul, the injuries that had followed her throughout her life? That question remains a big question mark, reflecting the tragic but also resilient life of a woman who changed royal history and left a mark in the hearts of millions of lovers around the world. In retrospect, Charles and Camilla contributed to Diana's tragedy in a way, not just through their actions, but through their coldness, indifference, and selfish love. They loved each other, but that love came at the cost of another woman's pain. And while they stand together today as king and queen, the price they paid was the broken heart of a woman who became a symbol of nobility and pain, Princess Diana. It seemed that with a love that could not be greater, they would cherish each other and be together until the end of their lives. But according to a recent source, that may no longer be true. In the solemn wood-paneled chamber of Parliament where many speeches have been made, there has never been a moment like this. Princess Anne stood calmly before the officials, her face calm, her voice sharp. She did not wait for the ceremony, just announced directly, "Camilla will be stripped of all honorary military and royal titles effective immediately." Those words echoed like thunder in the room. Everyone was silent, no one moved. Camilla sat behind the main bench, motionless eyes, wide open hands gripping the edge of the chair. A few MPs on the opposite side exclaimed out loud. This was not a routine, nor was it symbolic. Do you think Charles will choose to stay silent or stand up to Camilla? Comment number 2 if you think he will stay silent. Number 5, if you believe he will strongly resist, click the subscribe button to not miss the latest developments in this royal story. Anne had just defied the political system and the monarchy at the heart of national power. What made the moment all the more poignant was the quiet emotional memory behind it. Diana had sworn that this day would come. Anne later told a close aide that the vow would never be made public, but she had kept it in mind and chosen the moment not behind the scenes, but in Parliament, where history would record every word. The timing, the symbolism, the weight of the occasion, all came crashing down. Camilla looked around for support. No one was on her side. Charles was not there, William was not there, and Anne, she had the full attention of the nation. This was no small dispute. This was the opening salvo of a new royal war, and it began with the abolition of the crown. Unfiltered and blunt, the nation held its breath. But the headlines would not stop at shock. They would detail what Camilla had lost, why it mattered, and why Anne's actions were not revenge, but royal justice. When Anne announced that Camilla had been stripped of her titles, it was no mere show. She named them all honorary colonel of several regiments, patron of the Royal Army Medical Corps, honorary commander of the Naval Reserve, and more. Each title represented decades of royal tradition, military respect, and national image, now erased in an instant. Anne said it, and she meant it. The loss of these roles was more than just a lack of parades and balls. They were tied directly to a member of the royal family's status, influence, and public presence. Without them, Camilla lost her place at events, her place in the royal pecking order, even her access to ceremonial decisions. In the royal world, titles are not frivolous, they are power, and that power is gone. In the royal hierarchy, nothing is arbitrary. Who bows to whom, who sits in which carriage, who speaks first, who enters last, all are determined. With her titles stripped, Camilla now stands below Anne both symbolically and formally. It changed the way the public viewed her. It changed her role in the royal structure, and it left her isolated at a time when alliances mattered more than ever. Anne did not call it a punishment. "This is justice," she said simply. "Justice for the monarchy, for heritage, for truth." Her expression did not change, her voice did not waver. She insisted that this was not personal, it was principle. In a monarchy built on image and authority, that principle has redrawn the royal battle lines. Stripping the title is one thing, but doing it so publicly and strategically raises other questions. Why now? Why here? And what exactly is Anne aiming for? The next chapter reveals a deeper plan, and Diana's legacy is woven into every word Anne says. This was no spontaneous act. Anne's team had been preparing for weeks. Every word, every clause, every title of Camilla had been carefully crafted to be revoked, creating a plan that was meticulous down to the last detail. But the key was not just the words, but the timing of the action, a very sophisticated strategic move by Anne. When public opinion was still quietly changing, when Camilla's influence seemed to have reached its peak, Anne suddenly took action. This action was carried out when no one expected it, but it had a huge impact and resonance. A palace aide described it not as an impromptu or impulsive decision, but as a calculated and deliberate political surgery, as if Diana's ghost was still hovering, watching every line of the drafted text. Anne had made Diana a private, emotional, and heartfelt promise to defend the integrity and traditions of the monarchy. It was not a promise for revenge, but to uphold the core values of the royal family that Diana had struggled with. Diana had told her, "You cannot rewrite history," and Anne had taken those words to heart. For 20 long years, she had waited patiently for the right moment to act. When the opportunity came, Anne decided to use Parliament as her stage and principle as her weapon. She wanted to do more than just take action. She wanted to make it a public event, one that could not be erased or obscured from the official record. If Anne had chosen to work in silence, the palace and its shadowy forces could have easily twisted the truth to their liking, turning the story into something else. But Anne chose to go public, so public that no one could deny or refute it. This move sent a powerful message to all the courtiers' aides and even the royal strangers who played politics in the harem. Truth came before titles and positions. Anne's goal was not to create chaos or disrupt order, but to correct the distortions that had long existed within the regime. Anne did not see herself as a rebel or a rebel, but as a guardian of royal tradition, a keeper and restorer of the purity of the crown. She knew that her actions would not be easily recognized, that there would be many who would oppose and criticize her. But she was ready to accept all of that. "If the crown has lost its clarity," Anne once said in a private conversation, "someone must step up to restore it." She did not speak loudly, did not fight with a loud voice, but acted steadily, quietly, and surely. It was these actions that began to shake the monarchy, to shake values that seemed unshakable. While Anne acted decisively, not everyone saw the incident in the light of courage and justice. In a room next door, a royal figure once considered untouchable was slowly crumbling under the irresistible pressure. Camilla's protective shield was slowly crumbling. She sat silently stunned as her final title was publicly stripped away. Her eyes were glazed over her mouth agape, as if she could not believe what was happening. Before her eyes, no longer a powerful queen, but someone watching her own self-dissolution bit by bit. Although Camilla had always maintained a calm and resilient demeanor in public, this time was different. Her silence was no longer a sign of strength, but an expression of shock, disorientation, and profound shock. The story of power, honor, and betrayal in the royal harem was gradually revealed, signaling an unprecedented internal war. In such a context, no one could be sure of their future position, and the fate of the monarchy hung on a fragile thread. A few minutes later, aides escorted her out of the room without a word, without any reaction. The cameras captured her face, pale, empty, utterly devastated. "This is not just a political blow," an aide whispered. "This is a blow to the heart." Losing her title was not just a loss of a title. It was a loss of status, a loss of symbolism, a sense of belonging. For decades, Camilla had patiently carved her name into the royal picture, first as an outsider, then as a mistress, then as a full-fledged queen. The transition had taken years of image-building charity work and protocol. Now stripped of her title by Anne, she was back to square one, but this time the humiliation was televised. She was falling apart, a palace insider confessed. Behind the scenes, Camilla broke down, not in anger, but in disbelief. She had survived public opinion, public hatred, and royal reserve, but she had never expected to be betrayed by her own family. "I am not their enemy," she is reported to have said. "I was their future." And now she no longer knew who she was or where she belonged. But the personal pain was not the only consequence. Inside Buckingham Palace, the shockwaves were spreading. Advisors were panicking, aides were in disarray, and the polished facade of the monarchy was beginning to crack. Soon there was a race to control the story before it got out of hand. The royal earthquake began as soon as Anne's words rang out in Parliament. Phones rang off the hook at Buckingham Palace. Senior aides rushed into the emergency room, while the communications team scrambled to draft an emergency statement. What just happened? The question echoed through the royal corridors and chambers. This was not simply a family matter, but a major shock to the constitutional structure of the country. A senior royal had publicly stripped another of his title without a statement or approval from the monarch. The chaos was truly beginning to spread. Behind the scenes, King Charles was holding an emergency meeting with his legal team to deal with the situation. A speech scheduled for that day at a charity event was canceled less than an hour after the news broke. "The king is very nervous," a source close to the situation said, trying to calm the nerves. But that was no longer enough to stem the tide of public opinion. The press quickly sensed the chaos while the palace was caught off guard and unable to respond. Charles had not even seen the full text of the speech. Public opinion was deeply divided, with talk shows leading to fierce debates about whether Anne's actions had gone too far. Some say Anne acted decisively to protect royal tradition, while others say it was a family civil war disguised as royal reform. Hashtags quickly trended on social media, drawing the attention of millions. Newspapers everywhere compared Camilla's fall from grace to the historic exile of Wallis Simpson. The incident was no longer a matter of title, but a crisis of confidence in the monarchy. Inside the palace, factions began to form. One side sided with Anne in her defense of tradition, the other with Camilla. "We are witnessing the division of the throne before our eyes," one court insider whispered with barely concealed concern. In the midst of the conflict, King Charles was in a difficult position. He could not reverse Anne's actions without appearing weak, but if he remained silent, he would lose even more public confidence. A power vacuum was rapidly forming, putting the monarchy in a precarious position. While officials and courtiers were confused and bickering, only one person remained absolutely calm: Camilla. Behind the doors of Clarence's house, she was quietly preparing her next move in the power struggle. The personal humiliation she had just suffered did not break her, but instead spurred her to a more aggressive strategy. She was calculating how to turn the current shock into a constitutional crisis, creating legal and media leverage to maintain her position. In a private room at Clarence's house, Camilla sat with her closest advisors. The tears had dried, replaced by a look of sharp, focused concentration. Her voice was soft but firm. "They think they can erase me. Let's see what they can endure next." The aides looked at each other in surprise, realizing this was not a sign of breakdown, but a stern, determined warning. The real battle was just beginning. The first question was whether Anne's actions could be legally challenged. The Leafwood legal team could not provide a definitive answer. Stripping royal titles is extremely rare, and there was no clear precedent for a royal to do so without the monarch's approval. She may have overstepped her bounds, one lawyer whispered on the sidelines of the meetings. Camilla's team immediately began reviewing royal protocol, looking up historical precedent, preparing statements, and setting up legal defenses to protect her rights. Camilla's real leverage is the letters, documents, and stories she has kept for years. Rumors have spread that she holds a trove of correspondence that could prove the royal family's private commitments and promises to her. If she decides to make them public, a close advisor warned it will be chaotic and out of control. Not only would Camilla defend her role, she could also launch a devastating counterattack against Anne and her supporters, bringing the power struggle to a head. She was not alone. Military veterans, charity leaders, and even some of the less publicized royals were coming to Camilla's side. "She's not the villain she's been made out to be," said a close family friend. A plan began to form. Camilla was not to be seen as a dethroned queen, but as a woman who had been betrayed and wronged. The narrative began to shift. Camilla was no longer seen as a controversial figure, but as someone who had quietly worked hard and overcome challenges. Sympathy began to return, especially when it was remembered that she had once had the confidence and public support of Queen Elizabeth herself. "It's no small thing," said a royal advisor. "You can't just take away the blessing of a monarch." Camilla may not have marched straight into Parliament like Anne, but her supporters are quietly dominating the media and public discourse. As the feuds deepen and royal loyalties are tested, the pressure on King Charles is mounting. He cannot afford to remain silent. Every decision now is a decisive one, either restoring peace or pushing the monarchy to the brink of crisis. And with all eyes on Buckingham Palace, the king is about to enter the eye of the storm. The world is holding its breath. What will he choose? Within minutes, the headlines were "Queen stripped of title in shock in Parliament." British tabloids issued urgent bulletins with bold headlines. Diana's promise finally fulfilled. Television was abuzz with commentary talk. Shows were divided, social media was abuzz with debate. Public polls showed that by evening, Anne's approval ratings had soared. She was the only one who stood up for tradition, one Sky News listener said. But some of the public were starting to sympathize with Camilla. She didn't deserve to be treated like this. Not in this way, a listener said on BBC Radio. The nation was divided not just by title, but by emotion, memory, and morality. Commentators pointed to the inevitable name Diana. She was no longer a shadow, but a prism through which the royals' every move was judged. "The ghost of Diana is rewriting the monarchy," declared one expert, and the world was watching. The American media was getting involved. Australian media outlets questioned whether Camilla's stripping of her titles would change relations with the Commonwealth. This was no longer just a scandal. It was a global crisis. Inside the palace, royal advisors tried to control the media frenzy, but it was futile. Every time Charles kept quiet, the speculation grew. Every time Anne appeared, the media got a new headline. Every rumor surrounding Camilla raised a new set of questions. "The royal family is in the news for all the wrong reasons," lamented one communications official. The pressure was no longer private, but public, visible, and mounting rapidly. As the cameras flashed and the polls shifted, only one person stood between resolution and collapse: King Charles. But every move he made was a risk, and every delay a threat. Would he restore Camilla, protect Anne, or lose both? The next scene reveals the king's difficult choice and the legacy it will leave. Alone in the map room, King Charles faces the most important decision of his reign. His advisors are divided. "You cannot sit this one out," one warns. But another whispers, "If Anne's decision is reversed, there could be a constitutional challenge. Camilla must be protected. If not now, when?" Charles understood that this was not just a matter of title, but also of trust. He met privately with his lawyers to find out whether Camilla could be reinstated without parliamentary approval. Could he undo Anne's actions without turning the palace into a public battlefield? The answer was unclear. "You are the head, but you cannot ignore public opinion," an advisor reminded him. The truth was stark. One small mistake, and the monarchy could unravel before your eyes. Charles considered a compromise, returning some of his duties to Camilla while still publicly supporting Anne's cause. But even that could be seen as a weakness. He looks like he's giving in, an aide warned. The more he hesitated, the worse the media made the story. News of a silent king filled the television channels, rumors of abdication resurfaced, and even plans for a regency began to be discussed. He drafted a public speech, then tore it up. He rehearsed a message, then kept quiet. "My legacy cannot be indecision," he told a close friend. But the truth was, every choice now had a price. Action could be divisive, delay could be ruinous. Charles was running out of time and support. As the king contemplated, the wider kingdom felt the pressure. International events were also affected, with Commonwealth leaders questioning the image of the royal family. For the first time, even loyal royals began to doubt their future. In the next chapter, the effects spread, reaching William Kate and the heart of the line of succession. The wider dynasty was under threat. The consequences were no longer limited to Windsor. William and Kate continued to appear in public, but the tension was evident in their forced smiles. Kate refused to answer questions about Anne. William nodded politely when asked about Camilla, but behind closed doors, they watched closely. "It's not our business," William said, but even he knew that wouldn't last. Events on the royal calendar began to change. Camilla quietly withdrew from 3 ceremonial duties. Anne was asked to attend in her stead. Commonwealth leaders sent private messages asking for clarity on royal roles. "We need to know who represents the monarchy," wrote one Caribbean diplomat. The confusion is not just internal, it has become international. Closed-door discussions at the Foreign Office revealed deeper concerns. Does Anne's move signal a shift to de facto co-leader of ceremonial duties? Is her title as queen consort now little more than a title? And above all, what does it mean for the line of succession? The palace insists that everything is stable, but no one believes it anymore. Even rumors of the Menai Bridge plan, Charles's long-planned succession plan, are beginning to emerge. Not because the king is dying, but because the monarchy is faltering. If Charles cannot unite his people, how can he secure the future? The question is not